Mrs. Clark couldn't understand why her son Tony had married Ashley. He was tall and handsome, and she was short, plump, and had thin hair, always tied in a simple ponytail. Tony was also well educated, while Ashley was barely out of school and was taking hairdressing classes now. Moreover, the woman thought her son's wife had no taste at all, because she always wore jeans, oversized t-shirts and sneakers. Every time Mrs. Clark looked at Ashley, she got upset and wished her son would leave her. In addition to her eldest son, Mrs. Clark had a daughter, Marilyn, who was the opposite of her daughter-in-law. She was a slender and beautiful young woman who always followed fashion. Marilyn was an excellent student in school, and after graduation, she went to one of the most prestigious universities in the state. Mrs. Clark adored her daughter and was proud of the way she raised her children. And it was true. She really tried her best to fulfill her duty as a mother and give her children the best, sparing neither time nor money. One warm summer day, Tony and Marilyn and their mother were returning from a construction store. Mrs. Clark was in the middle of her house renovation and asked her children to help out a little. Marilyn was driving and calmly passing the intersection at a green light when suddenly a car struck them in the side. By happy chance, Marilyn was almost unharmed in the accident, but Tony and the mother were seriously injured. They had multiple fractures of varying severity and now had to be in a lying down position for a long time. Doctors said they might be able to start moving around in a wheelchair in 6 months, but it would take about a year to make a full recovery. At first, Marilyn visited her brother and mother in the hospital several times a week, then once a week, and then she flatly refused to come at all. She argued that she needed to study and that the nurses should look after them. Although the hospital had excellent staff, Ashley still began to come every day to take even better care of her loved ones, hoping for their speedy recovery. She would get up early in the morning, make the mother-in-law and husband their favourite treats. Then she came to the hospital and took care of them. She changed diapers, fed and wiped them, combed their hair, read books, and left the hospital very late. She even gave up her classes, deciding that it would wait until her relatives were well. The nurses often told Mrs. Clark that she should be proud of such a caring daughter-in-law, but the woman only sighed at these words and thought how wrong she had been. When Tony and his mother were discharged from the hospital, Marilyn didn't even come to visit them at home. She continued to inquire about their health only by telephone, and Ashley continued to care for them. She selflessly did all the housework, drove them to medical procedures, and exercised with everyone at home by herself. Almost recovering, Mrs. Clark finally realized what her son had seen in Ashley. It was infinite kindness, a willingness to sacrifice her own interest for her beloved, great willpower, and hard working. In addition, Mrs. Clark had spent endless hours speaking with Ashley during her illness and realized that she was knowledgeable about many things. It is just her natural modesty and shyness did not allow her to succeed. Mrs. Clark was truly grateful to Ashley for everything she had done for her and Tony, but most importantly, she understood from experience that appearance wasn't the most important thing in life. What matters was soul and character. I hope you liked the story. May you always be surrounded by good and caring people.